That's fair. My kids and my wife don't listen to me either. So welcome to the family. Thank you all for joining us. And super excited to have a chance to talk about this today. This is one of my favorite topics. And I'll tell you the big reason why it's my favorite topic as we're having some people join in. So this is one of my favorite topics because what I've found through coaching and training over the past many years that I've been doing it is that the businesses that I work with that tend to be less successful are the businesses that don't have a clear idea on where it is that they're going. Does that make sense? And those that set short-term goals versus long-term goals also tend to struggle on being more successful because they've planned out this next year, but they often haven't planned out where they want to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now. And so talking about building a big vision, in my mind, is one of the first things that I do with new coaching clients. And it's also one of the first things that I'll do when I'm working with a company to build out a business plan for their growth. And so super exciting to me to get in and do this with so many of you today, because in my mind, this is literally, quite literally, one of the first 3 or 4 things you should do in order to get really clear on what future success is going to look like for you. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Speaking of joining me, I'm going to start sharing my screen and we're going to get moving into the real content. So as we share the screen, everybody see it okay? Give me a thumbs up. All right. So for those of you that haven't been to one of my sessions before, I really love it when people have a chance to interact. And so please feel free to come off of mute and chime in at any time. I am not one of those people that gets offended by more people talking. This is literally what we're here for. We all will grow and be better together as we have these conversations. So jump in and let's chat. So we're here for creating or crafting a bolder vision. I'm Jeff. I am one of the franchise partners here for Cyberbacker, Maryland, DC, and Delaware. And so that just means that we own the territory and we're the ones that are servicing your accounts if you're a client. And if you're not one of the clients for this area, then thanks for coming. And let us know if you have any questions afterwards. I have been in management and leadership training now, literally going back all the way to the beginning of my career. I ran and started out as a new unit opener and leadership trainer inside of Chuck E. Cheese, of all things. For the first decade of my business career, all new store managers would come and hang out at my store for 12 weeks and learn how to run a Chuck E. Cheese. And let me tell you, when you learn how to corral 40 to 50 teenagers and then hundreds and hundreds of kids that are coming into your stores every single week or every single day, you start to figure out a little bit about what it might take to herd some adults around, right? Because sometimes we can all act a little bit like kids. So that's a little bit about the beginning of my career, and we're here again to talk about crafting a bold vision. Shara, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Shara. I work closely with Jeff. So I'm actually the growth backer in Cyberbacker Maryland team. So I'm the one actually helping our clients to evaluate their business needs, figure out their goals to help them successful. And of course, we also help them figure out how we can help them in their business. Let's say, for an example, you're looking for some help when it comes to an admin or somebody who will help you do cold calling or helping you with database. Something like that. We can set up a call and we can definitely talk about your business. That's it for me. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Shara. Irene, tell us what's up.
Hi there.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Irene. I'm part of the career team here in Cyberbacker, Maryland. So, as a career backer, I'm helping to find right talents and partner them with clients who share the same values. That's it for me.
Thank you both. Irene and Shara tend to be the face of Cyberbacker, Maryland, DC, and Delaware. If you've ever worked with us, you've met them, and I'm the guy that pops in once or twice a month just to have some great webinars or meet you in person if you'd ever like to bring us out to your office. So let us know. These topics are all available to talk to your own office and your team about. So if you see one that you like, just let us know. Meantime, last month was Holiday Resilience. We are still in the middle of the holidays. So if that's one that you'd like to find out more about, just reach out to Shara. You can email us at Cyberbacker or at maryland@cyberbacker.com, and Shara can get you a link and resources from that particular call. So that way you can go back and watch it. Feel free again to reach out for us. So today we've got a pretty simple agenda, and we're going to design our vision, and we're going to talk. We're going to briefly figure out how you can get going down that path. All right. What I really want to focus on the most today is getting your vision written down. So everybody should have received a flyer in the mail, so to speak, in your email. You can pull it up. You can type on it in a PDF version. Once you've seen the format, you can just do this on a piece of paper, right? You can obviously print it out and write into the paper in the printout. But what I do want to make sure that each of you have is I want to make sure that you've all got a pen available and ready to go, because this is definitely a session where I want you to get the most out of it and write down as much as possible. So what do we see here? This reminds me, I should have done this actually, because this is almost exactly what it looks like by my house. Anybody ever driven the White Marsh Exchange right by 95? So, huge, or maybe down near Lorton, outside of the DC Beltway, right? Like the huge bridges that go up into the air, and you stand on the bottom and look up and realize that some cars are driving 70 feet above you. Quite literally, when those were being built, so many different people I know that just hopped onto the wrong extension, the wrong ramp, because they had no idea where it was that they were going. Like they're reading all the different signs that the junctions are coming out. They had a really hard time figuring out where they were going. In fact, who here can agree, show of hands, that if you don't know where you're going, that any road that you go down can take you there? Is that fair? Anybody ever, you guys know who that's from? Good old C.S. Lewis and Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Any path will take you there. And what I'm here to tell you is that no road is actually going to get you to your intended destination if you don't know where you're going. Is that fair? So if this is our big vision that we're working to get to, and you and I are all the way down here, what do we need to figure out to go from here to our big vision?
A roadmap.
Yeah, we need to figure out the map. We got to figure out the road. We need to figure out the steps to take, right? Those incremental steps. When I go visit places that I've never been before, and I pull out my GPS, and I usually use Waze. People make fun of me for Waze, but I like the little guy that drives around with his crown on. So call me silly. But when I pull out my GPS, and the first thing I do before I even pull out of the driveway is tap on the step-by-step instructions, just to get an idea of what's coming up next, right? It's great that it's going to tell me to turn right at the end of my street. It always does, because that's the way to 95. But if I don't know the step-by-step, sometimes, to the point of looking at that other map, I might get on 95 going the wrong direction, right? Not likely. And at some point, if I don't know where I'm going, it's going to be hard for me to get there. So how about you? What is it that's keeping you from moving forward? And again, very interactive. Feel free to throw this in the chat. Feel free to come off a mute and share. But for you, what's keeping you from moving forward and towards your vision? What steps do you need to identify? So often, it's what? Come on, James. I see you there.
Focus.
Right? It's blurry.
Okay.
We need to focus, right?
Right.
We need to add some clarity to our vision. Absolutely. So if we've got a blurry vision, if we don't have clarity around where it is that we're going, we've really got a hard time getting there. Is that fair? And then sometimes, James, what does this feel like? Who's ever felt this way when they're trying to
Treadmill.
get the vision? Yeah, I'm just stuck in a hamster wheel. I'm running around and running around. When I first started on an entrepreneurial journey, I had a friend of mine say this to me. He's like, Jeff, I got to tell you, starting my own business, what ended up being the toughest thing for me was looking at myself day after day and asking myself this question. And I stole this question, by the way. I keep using this over and over again with my clients. But I asked myself the question, would I hire myself again today based on the work that I did yesterday, right? So that's a huge question. Am I doing the hard work today? But sometimes that hard work makes me feel like I'm running around in a hamster wheel. And that same friend used this analogy, a guy named Seth, said to me once, and you all have probably heard this from a variety of other sources, because since he's pointed it out to me, I've picked it up from other places. But am I 10 years into running my business? Am I 5 years into running my business? Or am I repeating my first year running my business for the 5th year in a row, right? I just feel like I'm doing the same thing and the same thing, and my results aren't growing. And often when it is that we're experiencing that in our business, again, having that long-term vision crafted is a big reason why. We're not moving forward because all we've identified is what this year's success looks like. So again, when it comes to the sheet that you should have received in your inbox, this is it. Go check in for it. Cyberbacker Maryland would have sent it to you yesterday. It's crafting a bold vision. And what I want to draw some attention to is the personal vision and the professional vision categories inside of this sheet. So as we fill this out, you're going to see the area of your life on your left. Not everybody feels the need or has, some people don't have a family to focus on and build a vision around, or don't have a spouse, right? That's fine. Everybody has a slightly different life. And I want you to be able to craft the vision that you want to build. And so it's going to start by you filling in the area of your life that you want to work towards in your big vision. And then we're going to start in this workshop today about writing down an idea or two, a piece of what it is that you want to work to. Okay? Everybody's got their pens, right? So somebody read this to me.
If you are the only one that can see your vision, you have no support network.
Okay. And I like that's kind of key for me. What does that mean to you?
Everyone needs to see your vision.
Yeah, and James, when we talk about seeing your vision, if you tell somebody that you're not yet in your forever home, and that you want, that you've got a dream home that you want to buy one day, and you tell somebody that that dream home is big enough to fit your whole family, to come visit you for Christmas, do you think telling them that helps them see what it is that you're working to achieve?
Yeah, tells them a little bit about what you're trying to do and why you might not agree to do certain things, and why you might agree to do other things.
Yeah, and I like the word that you used. Also, it tells them a little bit about it, right? So first off, it shares a little bit of your values, shows you a little bit about the things that you're doing in order to accomplish, and a little bit about your future vision, right? So what do you think, if that was part of my goal or my vision, what do you think I might add on in order to share more or be more clear about that goal in my life?
Time frame by which you intend to achieve that goal.
Number of bedrooms, where geographically, right? Like, maybe I needed somebody to come in and do some remodeling onto my current home in order to add some space or some bathrooms to make it work, right? So again, like adding clear and defining characteristics into my vision so that way it is clear to other people is really important in order to allow them to see my vision, to invite them into my vision, and to get that support network that I need in order to grow into the vision. So the gentleman that gave that quote is a gentleman named Cameron Herold. He wrote a book called Vivid Vision, which in fairness, I haven't read. And you think I would have for this call. But what I will tell you is over the years, since that book came out, I've seen his TED Talk, and I've listened to him on 3 or 4 different podcasts, and had several other people that I've worked with that have read through the process. A book that I have read in regards to visions and goal setting is a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is probably one of the first leadership and self-help development books I've ever owned. In fact, I've had it so long, if you guys can see, it's even getting yellow. See how yellow it is around the edges? It tells you it's a well-loved book, right? So who knows the exercise that they go through inside of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in terms of coming up with a great vision for your future. What exercise did they use? Anyone know? This used to be the handout, by the way, but I decided I was going to do a different one. The exercise was a eulogy exercise. So the eulogy exercise just asked you to imagine like you walk into your own funeral, and walking into your own funeral, what what is it that you see? What is it that your friends are saying about you, right? What is it that your family's saying about you, your spouses? And imagine if you could have them say anything it is that you would want them to say, what would you want them to say? Now, what I found out in doing this exercise with a lot of people is that some people, some of my clients that I had walked down this road had a really tough time kind of thinking that far in advance. That it was one thing for them to be able to tell me what 1 year out looked like, another thing to be able to tell me exactly what they wanted people to say about them in the end of life. I still think it's a valuable exercise, definitely something for you to play around with, but it doesn't often give us the clarity that we need in order to start taking steps today. Is that fair? All right, so if you want a handout that goes through the 7 habits of highly effective people eulogy exercise, let me know and I can send this to you. It just describes what I just did and breaks into some categories. We're going to go through some of those categories today. But first off, who wants to read the Steve Jobs quote? How about you, John? Jonathan, I see you on. Can you read this quote for me?
Are you talking on me?
Yes, sir. Is that okay?
Well, you are reading this one?
Please.
Yeah. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trip of the thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There's no reason not to following your heart. Steve Jobs.
Thank you. I read a book this year called Burning the Boats by Matt Higgins. Matt Higgins mentions in the book that he has an app on his phone called We Croak. I downloaded the app. It's got to be one of the most sombering apps I've ever downloaded in my life because 5 or 6 times a day, it reminds us that we're going to die. Traditionally, this is not the approach I like. I'm a pretty big optimist. But as an optimist, sometimes I think everything's going to be great and everything's going to be dandy. And sometimes that's not the best thought to always have when you're trying to work hard to accomplish something. You need to know that our time is limited. And knowing that our time is limited, making the most out of our time is really, really important. And so the app, when it reminds us, gives an inspirational quote, by the way. And in the inspirational quote, it does often talk about the end. And so if you want some inspirational quotes that talk about the end, download the app, We Croak, and it'll buzz you 4 or 5 times a day and just give you a little mini quote that just reminds you, hey, get working. Our time is limited. So we are going to start a little closer to home, though. So instead of just looking at the fact that we're going to die and what would that funeral look like, what would our end of life look like, let's look at 3 to 5 years from now. And so as you are thinking about your life in 3 to 5 years from now, what do you want your life to look like? And so if you're looking at your spouse or your significant other, this is where we break out our pens and we start to fill out the form. And I'll give you an example for my life. This is true for me. So in my life, this is something that I do, but also something that I know I want to continue to do in order to foster a loving relationship. This is something that I wrote down on my Begin with the End in mind about 5 years ago, coincidentally. Because about 5 years ago, I realized that my relationship with my wife was not as good as it could be. That there were definitely some factors in my life that, we'd been married for over a decade, and I definitely wasn't treating her as if we had just gotten married, as if we were still in that dating relationship. Some things had kind of fallen into some habits and some routines, and I wanted to just bring it back and just make sure. I was traveling a lot for work. I was working for a company called Vivint Smart Home at the time, and I was literally flying to Utah every Monday morning and flying back on the Thursday night red eye. So I was gone every single week for about 4 or 5 months straight. And she was just running everything at home. And I said, this just needs to be better. I need to let my wife know that I love her more. And I was filling out the sheet. I was reading through this book on the airplane. And so I started by saying this, because this is what we had talked about, and these were our dreams. So somebody read this out loud for me.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Bianca.
I are in our oceanfront dream home. She wakes up to a cup of coffee that I bring her each morning. I leave her sweet notes in our couple journal every week when I leave home for a speaking event.
Now, Bianca, thank you. Do you think I had a couple journal at the time?
No.
I did not. That was not even something I even considered. I had a personal journal, but I didn't have a couples journal. And let me tell you, when I told my wife we were going to start doing this, what do you think she said? She just kind of laughed at me, right? She was like, what are you talking about? And so I realized that I needed to set an example, right? This is something that I thought would be very important. And whether she ever wrote in the book or not, didn't matter. What I knew was that I was working towards a goal that my wife had and that I had together in terms of what our oceanfront home. We applied some more details that didn't fit into this space on how many rooms we need, what state it needs to be in, where it is that we're going. And guess what I do every single morning? I bring her a cup of coffee and I give it to her in bed before she gets up. In fact, every single day of the week, I make sure no matter what time it is that she's getting up, even if she's leaving like 6 a.m. in the morning to go to some business thing herself, I'm up before her making the coffee and bringing it to her. Because this is something that I set down as something that was important to me as part of my vision on how I should treat my wife in terms of where I wanted to take my life and the future that I wanted to hold and have with her. And so same thing for you in your space, in your blank, whether this is spouse, whether this is family or friends, we're going to take some time to start writing some of these down because what I have found over 5 years, I've now filled up completely one of these journals with love notes to my wife. I go to leave on business trips. And as important things are happening, I had a daughter that got married in October, another daughter that got married last May, and her mother-in-law passed away last September. And so as impactful times have happened in our life, having the ability to leave her messages and write into this journal, I didn't realize how much of a huge impact it would have for her to be able to pick this up and just skip back through it on a regular basis. And how impactful it is for us to share with each other our thoughts on where we want to go as a future, as a couple in this book on a regular basis. So again, pull out your form. And let's talk about like your children, your family, your friends. If you have family members that you want to create a larger vision with in your future, I have a coaching client who has been investing in properties for years. And he realized that while he was investing, so many people in his family had not gone down that journey. So when we started coaching a year ago, we made it as part of his intentional vision. How can he invite family in to become part of investments and start creating for themselves some generational wealth, right? In the past year, he's helped his sister get their first rental property. He just helped his brother recently start becoming a hard money lender for some other investment properties that they're getting involved in. So super, super exciting for him to see how his interactions with his family and how being intentional about bringing his family into this aspect have been for him. And that was because a year ago, he wrote down on this sheet exactly what it was that he wanted to be doing with his family in order to create a path forward for them. So what about you? It doesn't have to be financial. Your spouse, your children, your family, your friends, everybody take a moment to write down something on your sheet or type it into your phone on your notes so you can write it down later. Something specific that you want to see accomplished in your family and in your life over the next 3 to 5 years. We have a lot of people on the call, but if somebody wants to come off a mute and share, feel free to. Okay, so as you're looking at family and you're looking at friends and relationships, I want you also to consider your church and your community. For those that are religious and do go to church, what vision do you have inside of your church? What vision do you have inside of your community? What would you like to accomplish? I know about a month ago, leading into Thanksgiving, we did several interviews live on different groups here locally that had started some amazing give back programs inside of their business. We'll mention that a little bit more in a moment, but about you personally, inside of your personal vision, how are you giving back into your community? How are you spending volunteer hours, or how are you donating? Maybe it's coaching. I have a client who, as he started to free up more hours with hiring people for his team, he started coaching bike racing on weekends and is literally on a 4-day trip right now with his family because all of his family are racing bikes together on weekends, which was pretty wild for him. And so that was one of the ways that he wanted to give back, is coaching and lifting up young ones in the community, and in terms of getting physically fit and getting strategic about this. How about you? Write it down. Again, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to share here. We are going to have some small breakouts in just a few moments to discuss this with some others. And that way, if you would rather share in a group of 1 or 2, as opposed to share to a group of 30, you'll have that opportunity. Feel free to unmute and shout out if something touches your heart that you'd like to share out loud. So then, other personal impacts or legacies. Again, another friend of mine, he had always dreamed of climbing Everest, and he set up his business in such a way this past year that he was able to take 3 months to go spend in another country while still running his business and prepping to climb Matterhorn and Everest. And so he knocked 2 off of his bucket list while still working. You know, it took away off a couple of weeks at a time to do each, but was in other countries working in order to make this happen for him. So what about you? Is there any other major impact or legacy that you'd like to leave behind, that you'd like to achieve over the next 3 to 5 years, again, inside of your business? I do have a client that I work with on a mission and values based coaching for 4 months. And one of his, he and his wife had trouble having a child. And so they had a sponsor help them with in vitro fertilization. And he really wanted to give back in that same way, knowing that someone else had helped him get started in the journey of building a family. He realized that he wanted to help others go through that same journey. And so a goal that he made for himself several years ago was that he was going to help other families begin their family in that way, and start sponsoring families each year through that process. So now we're fast forward 3 years, and he's sponsored multiple families a year. Again, noticing that this is something that he wanted to do and in order to help others in his community, and to help leave a legacy, you know, of love out there in the community that he's involved in. So anybody want to share? All right, we're going to share in some smaller groups then, because just like that quote said in the beginning, we need to be able to have a message, a vision that is clear enough, not just for ourselves, but written down in a clear enough way that others can come along on the journey. Okay. And so what we're going to do in this breakout, we're going to have rooms of 3. It's going to be for 10 minutes. And what we're going to do in this breakout is somebody's going to be the timekeeper and just put on your stopwatch 3 minutes. And that way we can keep this moving and everybody gets a chance to share. And I want you to share one of your vision items. So look at the list of the categories that we just went through. And in that list, just pick one of the items that you want to share. It can be deep if you choose. It can be light if you choose. But share an item from your list. And then the other 2 that are in the room will look at the list or look at what it is that you shared and ask some curiosity and clarifying questions to help you add some details in order to make that vision, again, like the book, more vivid, right? To add some details to your vision in order to help others understand where it is that you're heading and where it is that you're going. All right? Is that fair? All right, so Shara, if you can create rooms that don't have the autopilots in it, that would be amazing. I see we're losing some people that probably didn't want to go into breakout rooms, and that's okay. Those of you that are still here, you'll get more out of it, and I appreciate you hanging on. So, Shara, if you could set some people up to go, and obviously when the timer goes off, that's when we switch. So anybody have any questions about it? Rooms of 3, timekeeper. You all can choose who starts. So whoever, you know, feels compelled to start first can go first. If nobody wants to go first, the person who had the most recent haircut gets to go first. And from there, we're going to switch every 3 minutes, and we'll come back here at 1:43. See y'all in 10 minutes. It's like romper room for me. The faces all pop back up. It's good times. All right. So how was that? Anybody have anything that stood out for them that was helpful that you want to share? All right, Faisal, I see you open your mouth. I know you wanted to talk. What do you want to say?
That was a yawn, but I'll happily talk.
No,
With
it was,
Carla,
but I'm calling you out for it.
appreciate it. So I met with Carla. She runs a brokerage, and her goal is to grow the brokerage. And my company helps realtors and brokers grow their businesses. So it was a good synergy there.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
My
Anyone
name
else
is
have
Jonathan
anything?
Pop.
Good.
My name is Jonathan Pop. So I'm the real estate agent for 18 years in the state of Delaware. I just tell them this is my group. I told them I was #1 in the state of Delaware out of 4,500 real estate agent. So I tell you
Congratulations.
this one. Why this one? I say that I told this when I was about 7 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I was a really top agent. I'm meeting together happy hour. He say, "Oh," I asked him, and hey, how much you can make money? So $360,000. So whole his life. And then I say, wow. That time I saw 150. I say, unbelievable. And then I catch up. So now is the top is there, the much higher. And then so I'm just telling people, do not think about the calculator interest rate higher or price higher. No way. Buy as soon as possible in your area. And that one is the best way for future. I can tell you what, 50%
right.
increase next year.
Well, I appreciate the advertisement, sir, and I think there's a lot of people on this call that would agree with that. We definitely agree that one of the ways to achieve our future vision is to make sure that real estate is a part of that plan. I think almost all of our current database is involved in either investors or agents or real estate ancillary clients. So you have a big cheering section with that testament here for sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so we went through some personal aspects in terms of building out our vision. I'm going to highlight a couple of pieces for work, and again, very similar style. I just want you to take a moment to write these down. Now, inside of an in-person workshop, this workshop is a 3-hour workshop, because what we do after you write down some ideas and what you just found out in your breakout is what you should be doing later for yourself is to really add more details to this vision for each of these areas I spoke to you. The areas you know that you want to build a deeper vision inside of your life personally, and some areas for work. How do you want to be interacting with your coworkers? What do you want your future life with your coworkers to look like? This could be vendor partners, right? This could be some other people that work inside of those that are in real estate, inside of your own brokerages. This could be key teams that you're involved in. This could be lenders. This could be anybody, right? Like, so looking at all the coworkers that are surrounding you, what do you want to make them? If you're run your own business and you have a team, what is it that you want to help your team accomplish? How would you like to see your team look? Size-wise, success-wise. I love it when I see teams that their key players today are running major divisions for them in the future, right? And so what can you do to grow the vision for the people on your team? And as opposed to having them leave you, you've grown a large enough organization that they can accomplish their vision inside of your company. Write down some ideas there about what you'd love to see happening on your team in 3 to 5 years. And how about your overall company? What is your company accomplishing? How many clients are you servicing? What's our overall annual revenue? What's our profit? And what I think gets really, really exciting about a company is, like, what legacy and impact is your company leaving on community? I mentioned I started with Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid could be a kid, but I moved on to large Fortune 500 and even worked with Fortune 1 for a little bit. And in that regard, I had a chance to get really involved and hands-on. This is actually a picture from a company called Give Power. Give Power was a spinoff from Solar City Tesla. It was their charity organization inside of the company. They would go out, and for every transaction, they took portions of the transaction to apply towards building clean water and energy facilities inside of villages that had no access to power grids, right? So they would go in with solar and batteries and do all sorts of other things in order to allow villages that had never had electricity or running water in their life had access to it. The charity portion of their company grew so large that they turned it into its own separate charity in order to allow any solar companies and any other businesses that wanted to get involved help do the same thing. Tom's Shoes was founded because that owner realized how many third world countries, like the people just didn't even have shoes. He built the business in order to give other people shoes, right? It wasn't like a side afterthought. Hey, we should give some shoes away too in a shoe company. He literally built the business to find a way to give shoes to people. So as you're building your business, as you're building your company, what impact, what legacy are companies leaving behind? I know a real estate company who takes a portion of their closings to help fund homeless buying homes. They literally help buy homes for homeless families to get resituated in their life, which to me is just an amazing charity, right? So looking at your business, what is it that you're doing? So as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you all with a few questions. So first off, the challenge is going back and adding some clarity to these areas of your life that spoke to you and really building out full paragraphs describing what you want your vision to look like in your future. Then what you need to start doing is figuring out who you need to share this vision with. Who is a part of that tribe? Are these your raving fan clients? Is this your family and friends? Obviously, your spouse, your loved ones. Is this, obviously your team members should be a part of this, but I need you to know and understand and answer this question. When and how will you start to communicate this vision to others in your life? Because again, if nobody else knows about your vision, what happens? The quote from the beginning, if nobody knows your vision, what? You don't have the support structure to get there, right? So introducing your vision to the others in your life is going to start introducing and attracting to you the people that are going to help you get there. The people that align with your vision. Working for Solar City Tesla, let me tell you, it was very hard to not get enough applications because so many people aligned with that vision when I worked for that company, right?
Yeah.
Like people were like fanboys were just filling out applications because they wanted to come have an opportunity to be a part of the growth structure for that company many years ago when I was there, like 7-8 years ago. And likewise, as you start to share your vision with others in your life, you will attract talent that is attracted to that vision. What do you think happens when you share your vision and you get eye rolls from people that are already on your team or in your business? You get some people laughing that don't look very excited.
I assume they're not really part of your support system then.
That's right. That's exactly right. And they're probably people that, unlike being attracted to you, are people that are probably you're going to find go away. The clearer you get on your vision and the direction you're going, the people that aren't attracted to that vision will start to go a different path. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you're trying to look at your vision, I'm a realtor who's been doing it for 40 years and very successful, have a small team, a daughter and another buyer's agent. And when you're looking at your vision, do you take in consideration what's happening in the real estate market? Because I end up trying to work around. It's difficult to make a vision when you know that the real estate market is currently a certain
Sure.
way. There's things that you can't control. So I've continued to do all the things I've always done. We were doing 34 million last year. This year, 17 million. My business got cut in half now. I look at all the agents out there. We're still in the top percentile. We're doing well, but it's the fact the market is what the market is. I can't.
Yeah.
Or should your vision ignore that and full steam ahead, regardless of what is in the,
Well, I think it's impossible to ignore. It is happening, right? And so to that extent, I don't necessarily recommend ignoring. What I do recommend is is first off, we're looking at a 3 to 5 year plan. And so you are looking at, farther ahead in the future than what we're seeing today. Now, the neat thing about that, and my team will tell you this because this is a conversation we have having consistently the past couple of months. We are a lot of real estate clients. And so it's our business too, A. And then B, like we're doing our business planning for next year. And as part of that business planning, we're to determine our activities that we need in order to be successful. And so net the market is tighter than usual, is the way I'll phrase it. Obviously, it's forcing us to be creative on what it is that we're doing, and forcing us to double down on the activities that we know we needed to do to be successful. So yes, what today looks like, and you plan the actions for today, which is what we're about to get into here. For the last couple of slides, as you plan your actions for today, you're going to need to either amplify your actions in order to achieve the same results, or think a little bit bigger and creative. And I'd be happy to jump on the phone with you and have a one-on-one conversation in regards to the things that you're doing, and you can focus on specific activities to stay in. The fact that you're staying in the top market as far as percentages is great, because we all know and understand that those that stay in a similar ranking during a downturn on the market end up being really high and really good volume when the market survives at the end, right? So I applaud you for staying there. And what I will encourage everybody to do is, it is a focus on the future and an execution for today. So great transition question there. Identify who in your organization should help you identify those activities in order to start building your organization for the future. And as part of that, when you sit down with your team to share the vision that you have for the company, again, this is going to be the thing that excites them. This is going to be the people that pull along. I'll be honest with you. I worked for a company at one point in time. They sat down and showed me the vision. They cut a ton of labor. And at first I thought I was going to be part of that vision. And a year in, I was like, I'm kind of done with the 80-hour work weeks, and I went a different direction, right? And that's going to happen in the real estate market too. There will be people that drop out and people that stay in, but the people that get excited about your vision will hang on for the ride. And so the second page to that worksheet is this. It's once you've written a very clear vision, then you go back with your team and you identify the actions that you all will each need to do in order to start moving towards the vision that you've written out. So write a clear vision, get your clear vision, keep delivering your clear vision, at least once a quarter with your team, and then identify the actions with your team that you all will need to keep doing in order to get. Okay. One piece that we're going to go into next month is that it's one hack for a very impactful year. So we will talk a little bit more about what you're doing to make this vision a reality in your new year. It is at time. And so for those that need to go, feel free to jump off. If anybody had some extra questions about this or any of our other slides, feel free to ask. We can go from there. Let Shara know if you want to be pre-registered. She'll send you out an invite for next month. You can just tell her in the chat. Thank you all for joining me today. Happy Hanukkah for those that celebrate. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And again, if anybody has some questions, I'm here to answer any other questions that you might have. And otherwise, go enjoy your holidays. Thanks, everybody.